Snapchat is now considering a feature proposed by a British MP that would add an alert or warning on images of celebrities that have been photoshopped. All this in an effort to prevent the warped image of beauty that we've seen on social media that is negatively affecting self-esteem. I'm Mackenzie, you're watching InformOverload, and let's get into the details of this very interesting proposition. So this was all started when UK Member of Parliament Dr. Luke Evans drew up a bill that would force celebrities to label images where they have photoshopped their looks. And apparently after hearing about the proposition, Snapchat now thinks it's a pretty good idea and is thinking of putting something subtle on pictures to alert people that the photo has been altered. This move was of course applauded by Dr. Evans, who said he was happy to see Snapchat stepping up. In one example where this has been used in the past, Snapchat mentioned the baby filter that altered faces to make it look like adults were babies, with that filter having a little baby rattle in the corner to alert people that they were using a filter, mentioning the size would be about the same as the baby rattle. Snapchat's support for the campaign was revealed by Henry Turnbull, head of public policy UK and the Nordics at Parliament's Women and Equalities Committee, with him telling the committee, quote, "I think that idea has some merit. You want to avoid overly nannying people and having huge disclaimers saying that this has been an altered image when in many cases it's very obvious. But something subtle, I think, is an idea to think about certainly." Dr. Evans spoke about the idea to Mail Online, saying in the interview, quote, "Trying to live up to impossible expectations of body image is a real challenge for millions of people in Britain today, including far too many vulnerable young people. Mental health is every bit as important as physical health, and can lead to eating disorders and steroid abuse." With him adding he's very happy to see that companies like Snapchat are open to change, considering they know the massive role they play in people's lives. Continuing, quote, "I've had many constructive meetings with stakeholders in the big social media companies, and they do recognize that there's a real problem and see that they have an important part to play in finding a solution." So obviously this is a very, very interesting idea, putting a sort of warning so that people can know if something is edited. And although it's an interesting idea, I don't really think Snapchat is the place where this is needed, because honestly, no one really uses Snapchat anymore. And if they do, they're taking story-like videos or pictures that are usually taken in the moment and not edited. I really don't see much editing on Snapchat personally, at least not very obvious editing. I think if this idea actually wanted to make somewhat of an impact, it would have to be done on a platform like Instagram, where edited pictures are just rampant. I swear to God, probably like everybody does. But I think Instagram knows that its users would find ways around that policy, because unfortunately editing is so rampant in the culture of the platform. Not editing would probably cause the platform to honestly lose the relevance that it's built. Also, in terms of Snapchat, I think if they were to implement this, the people who edit their photos would honestly just like stop posting to Snapchat altogether, especially now that Snapchat is losing relevance very fast. So it would be very interesting to see if something like this happens in the future, but I personally don't think that something like this would work or be very effective. But at the end of the day, I will applaud the company for being open to new ideas on the subject, because something really needs to be done about Facetune. It's just hard to know what will actually have an impact after we've seen years and years of perfect Instagram models. Please let me know your thoughts on this one below. Do you think this is a good idea? And do you think you'd feel better if you saw an editing warning on pictures? Let me know. But before I head out, I'm going to shout out some comments from my video on most problematic America's Next Top Model moments, because there was a lot of them. Afro Betty said, "It's funny because as a kid I wanted to be on America's Next Top Model. I'm glad I didn't make it, dodged a bullet. I didn't realize how problematic that it was." Yeah, I think I was too young to have actually applied to be on the show, but hell yeah, I mean that show was so cool, it was so epic if you were on it, so I wouldn't have been shocked if I tried to apply, but as you said, definitely dodged a bullet. Then Michelle Sutton said, "I think Tyra should have been fired for all of her double talk on those poor women. We are supposed to lift one another, not tear down." I couldn't agree more. It's like on the one hand she wanted to be of women empowerment, but then she's being so awful to women. It was really unfortunate to see, but I do think it was a different time and probably a lot more was expected of her on TV. Like, I do feel that a part of her role as a host was to kind of be mean, be the Simon Cowell, because at that time, that's what people wanted to see. Simon Cowell was like everything in judging, you know? He kind of still is in a way. Then Pop Pop said, 10 years ago I enjoyed America's Next Top Model, but now that I'm older I'm finally seeing how cringy and problematic this show was. Yeah, I think really with anything, when you watch old stuff back now, you're like, whoa, it is really a different time now. Alright guys, that's all for the video today. Thanks so much for sticking around if you made it all the way here. And make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you liked and you want to see some more. I've been your host, Mackenzie Smith, and I'll catch you all in the next one.